Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this Champions of Chaos showdown. It's going to be Nurgle versus Tzeentch. We have GATH Plaguefather taking it to one of his mortal rivals here in Vilitch the Curseling. So, GATH did see his Nurgle buddies get their butts kicked in the Vilitch trailer, and he's here to try and, even the score out a little bit. Now, as far as some of the new stuff that we do have the Marauders of Nurgle, which, of course, against the shooting style faction like Tzeentch, which can really melt some of your bigger troops. I think having cheap, shielded, wide infantry is always quite nice. So we got Marauders into the sunset. And what's really nice about Nurgle Marauders is they have pretty good melee defense for their price point at 33, and they're also shielded against blues and pinks, and they do poison, which isn't bad at all. So we got those. On the side, we do have some Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. So those are the more kind of mid-tier units here, and we can go take a look what they look like and look at their stats as well. 31, but 49 melee defense. That is extra thick, and I love the way they look. That is so cool, man. That is so cool. That like dark green hue on here, man, that is just so badass looking. Like every time I look at one of these armies, like it makes me just be like, man, I want to make that army in tabletop. Like I just want to paint it like that. More Marauders here, but some of the units we brought that I think are really, really good are the Exalted Heroes of Nurgle. Now, these guys are characters which can bring a bunch of items that have some debuffs and buffs, but I like to just bring them bare bones on like foot or on their chariot. And you can see 450 weapon strength, huge armor piercing poison, really good at killing characters like Vilitch, right? So I figured we could go after Vilitch. If there's any Tzeentch warriors, any Tzeentch chosen, you could just kind of sit them there. And GATH. So you might be asking, why on earth would you bring GATH against a faction that is known for focus firing and sniping? Well, here's the thing. It's much like tabletop. We have objectives. If you hold those objectives for 5 turns, just like whatever in tabletop, right? You're going to be winning the game, even if you lose your big assets. Now in tabletop, you'll often see Nurgle players have like a big centerpiece. Like you can see like Mortarion for the Death Guard or things like that they push up and they let that character just get absolutely dumped on for a couple turns. And yes, it might go down, but it's buying you time because all the damage value is being poured into GATH, which allows the rest of your army to shine. And he's got 15,000 HP, so it's one of the main tools, in my opinion, for doing well here. He's a Mortis Engine, he's really tough to kill, and yeah, it's fun to see him fight Vilitch. We got some Nurglings in Vanguard as well. Now for the Forces of Yield Slaanesh, very unfun for me here. It's going to be Marauders, Horsemen of Tzeentch. These guys are new, of course, and they have the Warp Flame ability, so they're able to, lower my stats a little bit. They do fire damage, which is great against Nurgle. And aside from that, it's going to be Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch. So in the front line, it's going to be the Tzeentch boys. They got their shields out, and they will lose to my Chaos Warriors pretty decisively, but they'll beat the brakes off my Marauders, that's for sure. And we got pinks and blues in the back, and Vilitch the Curseling. So what Vilitch does is he's kind of like a caster Sigvald. He's a pretty good fighter, and he also does heal nearby units if he brought that. I'm not sure if my opponent did. Yeah, he brought Paragon of Change, so this is going to be healing the barriers of nearby units. So if you have him fighting near your warriors and things like that, it can do very, very good work. And he's also got the Infernal Gateway, so there he is. My warrior's going to be pushing up the side. I just brought shielded warriors this time, though. I didn't bring the variant with great weapons. I figured the shields would be a little bit more useful against like this type of stuff. My Marauders in the front just getting hammered. Thankfully, this is what you want. These guys are just shielded. They're cheap. They're expendable. Marauders going to be charged by the Horsemen, but if we get a nice little countercharge, we might be able to get through. But that's also what's really nice about Tzeentch countercharging in both land battles and domination, is that usually the damage you would take on the charge from your opponent's countercharge would just be the shields, and then you can pull back and heal and really replenish. But this is kind of the tactic here. If we fight Tzeentch in the middle in this kind of shooting box, we're going to, really, really get wrecked super bad. So we play defensively on the back objective, which as Nurgle, we can reinforce much easier. And then we play objective 1, and if he moves up to objective 3 with his big army here, you then move down with your big force and slam objective 2 with like GATH and your exalted characters and all that sort of good stuff. So there's a lot of tactics for sure in domination in terms of like allocation of resources. Now Chaos Knights of Tzeentch have come out, and they'll be really good at killing my demons and Marauder units. And again, what's really good about Tzeentch stuff is their mortals often do magic damage, which makes them trade super effectively into demons like Nurglings and all that. So looks like the back objective is going to be contested. Thankfully, I have 2 really, really tanky units here. These Chaos Warriors of Nurgle are just super jacked with 49 melee defense, and they got silver shields too, so they're not going to take too much damage against this. So hopefully we will be okay. But Chaos Knights are coming in, and not much I could do about this. We have a very, very strong foothold on objective 1, but now Big Daddy GATH and some of the exalted champs are going to be moving down there. Looks like Vilitch going to be dropping a blue fire from down there. It looks really, really cool. It does hit a little bit of dual pronged fire there. But Big Papa GATH is going to be quite good. So he gets his giant toddler kicks, and it's going to be stomping on some of these warriors. But now GATH is going to be bathed in the fire of the Changer. Certainly doesn't feel good, as an Infernal Gateway is going to be going down as well. But, this is okay. Somebody's got to take this, and the Gateway is going to be hitting my Marauders pretty heavily. But thankfully, those are just Marauders, I think, so it actually ends up doing more damage to the Tzeentchian forces. So GATH has done his part. It's time to retreat. He's going to waddle back up the hill here, and very, very stressful stuff. But, you know, he's done his part. That's a lot of damage that's been taken on him, and though he does have the wounds characteristic, so he gets a little bit weaker as he gets damaged, still going to be quite happy. And the 2 Exalted Hero characters just kind of grinding through with their armor-piercing weapons, fighting through the Chaos Warriors, and yeah, thankfully they were not ambushed like they were in the trailer here. I really like these. I think the Khorne ones are good too. The Khorne ones don't have armor piercing though. The Nurgle Exalted Champions do have really good armor piercing, so they can certainly trade pretty well. Now we're starting to push in the middle. We have Chaos Warriors, we have some Pox Riders, going to be looking to press the middle. The back objective is being harassed here a little bit. Looks like we got some Warriors here, and some more Warriors are chosen of Tzeentch on their way up. Okay, they'll for sure win, but the thing about Nurgle, even basic Warriors, is they have 49 melee defense against the 60, so it's not that big of a difference. It's only 11. And these horsemen are throwing in, but I've been summoning tanky units all day, and we're contesting all 3 objectives, right? Chaos Warriors moving in, going to be beating down my poor Marauders, and I don't know if they got a really good charge, but they are the Sword Warriors. So the Sword Warriors have good sustained combat stats. You can pretty much just hold back my Marauders all day, but it looks like they're going to be retreating for a cycle charge while the Blues pile in, and maybe trying to stay away from the Toads. We'll see. But the Pox Riders shall be going after the Pinks, trying to shut down the shooting. GATH has now fallen back to Objective 1, which Tzeentch hasn't really made a play for yet, and GATH also has ranged, right? So he's become a pretty good character, I think. So he's just going to be sitting up here atop his mighty toilet seat of Nurgle and just throwing bombardments down there as we try and press the objective. Ooh, nasty, nasty damage. So Vilitch was getting his butt kicked by the 2 Exalted Heroes, which makes sense. They're armor-piercing fighter characters. They cost like 1,200 or 1,000 apiece. So, you know, they should outvalue Vilitch or Sigvald, anything like that. Like, if you're playing Nurgle against Slaanesh, I think the double Exalted Hero combo to dig out Sigvald-type characters is very good, but beautiful Flamer play. Also, on top of that, we have the Warp Flame debuff, so we're a little bit weaker to fire, so this has been really, really stressful. So now they're going to be going after the Flamers, trying to get that. But we still have this inexorable push on the middle, man. Nurgle's forces are really, really grindy here. The Blues are being chopped through by the great weapons, a little bit of overkill for sure. Pox Riders have gotten on top of the Pinks, and with their bonus first infantry and their magic damage, they should kill them incredibly quickly. Vilitch has moved in there, but we need to find a way to shut down these Flamers, because look at the damage, man! Scooting and shooting here from my opponent, so he pulls back the Flamers, he roasts the Exalted Hero, and man, that was quite dangerous to say the least. But top objective is very, very safe. GATH is going to be rolling down on his toilet seat in a minute. I was a little bit nervous about going down there while the Flamers were still active, but I should for sure get GATH and move down here. This is a little bit of a misplay that we're not moving down and fighting at that point. Chaos Warriors grinding through the Blues, and they seem to be doing a pretty good job. So you can see the Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch losing models relatively rapidly against the Great Weapons, and the Toad Boys fighting very, very well. You can see the Pinks are almost gone. Up on the high ground, it's a very, very stressful one. The capture weight goes a little bit for the forces of Tzeentch, but not enough to just get it outright, although my Chaos Warriors are losing to these Chosen. Man, the Tzeentch Chosen are just so badass looking. I mean, all the Chosen and Warriors of the different gods just incredibly cool. I think these are Chaos Warriors as well. But we summoned in a couple Furies to kind of chase those guys down. More Forsaken coming in to try and secure this objective. But Chaos Knights will be a pretty nice tool for keeping me off the objective here. In the middle, Big Chungus GATH is moving in, baby, and the Mortis Engine is coming. So now that the Tzeentchian shooting has been kind of compromised, we got some Furies on top of the Flamers here. And the Exalted Hero, I believe one of them is still chasing or is still around. We have one Exalted Hero. The other one, I think, got killed. He kind of chased off into the Shadow Realm over there and was punished. But now Big Daddy GATH's coming in, and he's going to be dropping some buffs, dropping some heals wherever he can. Furies back here. We do use the Fleshy Abundance on them, which was a little bit of a strange play, but I figured if I can kill the Horsemen and maybe keep chasing the Flamers, it would be a good play. But at the end of the day, I should have hit the Pox Riders here. So Warriors break through the Blues, and now they're going to be moving up on the objective. The back one is almost taken by Tzeentch, but you're seeing the tenacity of the Nurgle Warriors, right? The melee defense for the price point, the poison, which brings down the superior units. Very, very cool fight. Very thematic as well. The Tzeentch armor scheme here is actually super easy to paint tabletop as well. You just use the new contrast paints over metallics, and you're going to be getting that scheme no problem. Spawn are a problem, though. So the Spawn get in there. He bunker busts me pretty good, and now he does have the double cap on me, so he's got the top objective here, objective 3. But 2 is looking like Nurgle's going to be getting it, because GATH will absolutely smash Vilitch in a fight. And we got Warriors, we got Marauders, we have our Exalted character, we have one of the heroes, and you can see, finally, we have been able to overwhelm them with the Marauders and just the sheer amount of durability we have here now. Flamers of Tzeentch bathing Big Papa GATH, and the thing about GATH is he often looks like he's like low, but even GATH with like a quarter HP still has like 3,500 HP, right? Like as much as like heroes and things like that. He's so tough to kill. So just like in tabletop, Nurgle brings like a giant damage sponge, which is going to be pretty good at kind of holding it down. So Vilitch here fighting on, and now the giant angry toddler of Nurgle going to be moving over and probably karate kicking him. Looks like he's going to be pulling out a Nurgling to throw. We'll have to see. Oh, we actually like rolled that up into a ball before he threw it. That's actually pretty funny. Exalted Hero going to be going after Vilitch, but Vilitch does have the shield regeneration, so nearby Tzeentchian units. You can see the shield like popped up there for a second. So it is basically like a heal. And if you're using an elite Tzeentch build with like Tzeentch Chosen and you roll up with Vilitch, because Vilitch actually has 2 shield regen abilities. My opponent here did cut one of them. He has the Twisted Twin, which is quite cool. But you can basically just get a ton of healing on your units for Tzeentch, which I think is very, very strong. So up in the high ground, we have some Forsaken fighting, and we do get a little bit of a Stream of Corruption going, which does tickle those Chaos Knights. It was kind of a cute one. But we do get the capture weight here, and Tzeentch is now going to be going for the back objective. And are we going to be able to reinforce it in time? I do summon in Chaos Chariots of Nurgle, which, look at the melee attack on these things. I didn't notice it. I was like, holy shit. They literally have 17 melee attack. That is so haggard. But the Chariots are able to get here quick, and I'm hoping they'll be able to clear off infantry. These are just Marauders, so Tzeentch might be able to get this, because these are Chaos Warriors, right? And we're not quite to the point, I don't think, where we would win on one objective. We are getting pretty close to that, though, and then we could just like kind of Helm's Deep in the middle. But here you see Vilitch just getting smashed by the exalted Hero of Khorne, and of course Big Daddy's going to be chasing him down. So I think the Twisted Twin is going to, eventually get chased off by the guy from the trailer. And yeah, he's pretty low. He's got about 700 HP. But chasing him is cool and all, but I need to stay on the objective. I need to hold this because it's getting very, very precarious. If this objective's gone. Tzeentch has capture weight here. Tzeentch has the advantage here. So it's really becoming one of those really stressful late game situations where Nurgle has to like fight tooth and nail, right? Chaos Furies diving into the Marauder Horsemen of Tzeentch. We get the Chariots, we get the Marauders, and down here the Chaos Knights of Tzeentch moving in with the Flamers continuing to get good value. But this is where Kugath shines. This is his moment in the sun, right? Like every one of these Tzeentch units, now that much of their shooting is offline, they have a little bit of shooting left, not enough to punish them like they did early. He is draining the health of all these units and just doing huge Mortis Engine value. I would wager his value is pretty big right now. Only 1,800 actually. I suppose he's now just getting into the swing of things. But again, we still have the capture weight. We got Marauders here. We got Forsaken. We have our champion. We have some Chaos Warriors. And I do bring in some Hounds for a rear charge. So the Hounds are going to be screaming into the back of these guys, applying poison, but more importantly also buffering my capture weight a little bit. And we get a Fecundity, so pretty big. Kugath is now healing capped, but the AoE healing, the healing plague is going to be healing up all those units. Up on the high ground, we're still managing to hold on. The Chaos Chariots got there, supporting the Marauders and the Furies. But Tzeentch is pretty close to getting this. They have Chaos Warriors and Blues, which means they would get that. So if this game was going a little bit longer, like we could lose that for sure. Although I think in the middle, we're going to be able to secure it. The Chaos Knights have been doing a little bit of cycle charging. Looks like they're pulling back now to refresh the charge. Going to be running through the Forsaken, which are a little bit isolated there. And Big Daddy Kugath is just getting Shadow Realmed once again. But, he is a damage sponge. Now, looking at the value in this game, Tzeentch was actually up by about 3,000 or 4,000 value, but almost all of that damage value was tied into Kugath and wasn't really an accurate representation of the true state of the battle. And that's something that, if you're a Nurgle player, a Vampire Count player, don't panic if you're way behind in value. You have tons of healing, which will mitigate that, right? So this objective is actually going to Tzeentch here. Granted, we do have the high ground objective, and we're going to be swarming all over that one. So the Plague Toads of Nurgle moving over there, Flesh Hounds, and Tzeentch moving in pretty heavily, but we have been able to get the Vanguard Nurglings, and we should be able to hold on to this. It's going to be tough. Nurgle takes a while to remove. You really have to plan ahead if you want to do that. And the middle objective has been taken by Tzeentch, the back objective. So like I said, this is typically how Nurgle plays in tabletop as well, is that you sacrifice army for positional play and value and objectives. And, if this were like a land battle situation, I think Tzeentch would dominate Nurgle like probably 8 times out of 10. But in domination, it gives more variance to the different factions where they can play different victory conditions, which I think is really good for factions like Nurgle. Unfortunately not so good for Dwarves, but because Nurgle actually has some fast units, unlike Dwarves, right? They have some good Vanguard options via Nurglings, but that is going to be it, dude. Super close. Like, we were losing this one, but the Nurglings are going to get there, and we will hold it. So Kugath absorbed all that firepower, fought off the Twisted Twin, and you got to see the Chosen of Tzeentch, Marauders. The Exalted Heroes are super badass, too. I really like these guys. Not a ton of crazy value, but they did bully Vilitch away, which, he's got to count for something, right? So looking at the reinforcements, I don't really know what did super good. I guess our Warriors did good. Like, the Great Weapon Warriors were nice. Yeah, maybe I should have just gone pure Great Weapons, but I figured the Shields would have been good. But, yeah, hard to say. Vilitch still got 1,500. Chosen of Tzeentch still fought, but, again, couldn't be everywhere at once. And Big Daddy Kugath, man, he was a terror as always. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. We'll be back with more action soon. You guys take care of yourselves. And that is going to be it for today.